brown eyes. Have you ever wanted to make them blue permanently? We're going to talk to someone who can actually make that happen. That story is a little later.
First, time to check out some of the stories making headlines in catch.
Your eye color. We think we're stuck with what we've got, but maybe not. What if you had the chance to turn your brown eyes blue, not with a pair of contact lenses, but permanently? Would you do it? Well, believe it or not, there's someone who says he can do just that. Dr. Greg Homer joins me now from Orange, California. So, Dr. Homer, tell us a little bit about this procedure. You can permanently change your brown eyes into blue eyes?
Yes, an eye is, all eyes are fundamentally blue. And in the case of people with brown eyes, they have a thin layer of pigment over the blue eye. So we have a laser that uses a combination of frequencies that are tuned to be absorbed only by that pigment. And so we expose the iris, the pigmented iris, to the laser, and the procedure takes about 20 seconds. And then the patient leaves, and over the next week, the pigment gets a little darker, and then over the following 1 to 3 weeks, the pigment gradually disappears, and the blue eye underneath is revealed.
So does everybody have this blue base then?
We all have this layer of pigment on top of our blue eyes are like little empty clear bags, and they're filled with, they're like clear beanbag chairs, and the little beans inside are the pigment granules. Those pigment granules can be brown or they can be yellow. And what happens is when babies are born, the belief is that the empty bags are there and the pigment granules are there, but they're not colored yet. That's a chemical reaction that takes place in the early life of the child.
So is the pigment sort of flushed out in the exact same way that it's flushed out, let's say, if you're doing laser removal of a tattoo or something?
Well, it's different because when you have laser removal of a tattoo, the pigment is sloughed off with the skin. In this case, we don't open the eye at all. In fact, we actually, throughout the procedure, we have no contact whatsoever with the patient's eye. What happens is that we go in and only disrupt the pigment cells, and once they're disrupted, they send a signal to the body to say, hey, we've changed fundamentally, and so we shouldn't be here anymore. And this begins a metabolic process where the pigment is digested, and it's removed very slowly on a cellular by cellular level.
So how does this compare, Dr. Homer, to laser eye surgery?
Well, laser eye surgery is actually removing a portion of the cornea, which is the clear surface of the eye. And it reshapes it so that it refracts the light differently and corrects visual acuity. In our case, we do nothing to affect vision. We don't remove anything other than this pigment. Our laser frequency passes straight through the cornea with no interaction with the cornea at all, and then it is again just absorbed by these pigment granules on the surface of the eye.
So, Dr. Homer, what color are your eyes? From here they look like they're blue.
They're blue.
Okay, they are blue. So what actually motivated you to come up with this idea so that people could have blue eyes?
Well, I was very interested in lasers, and a friend of mine, a man named Gary Lask, was the head, and I think still is, the head of laser dermatology at UCLA, runs a clinic there. He was explaining this whole idea of certain frequencies being absorbed by brown pigment and the process by which it's eliminated. And I was driving home, and I thought, I wonder what would happen if you exposed the brown in eyes to that. So I just thought it was a cool thing to do. I think brown eyes are beautiful, but it's nice for consumers to have choices, and I just thought this was a cool technology.
So can you tell us what is special about this particular laser?
It combines frequencies. It uses two different frequencies is one thing that's unique about it. We did a lot of research to design the shape of the beam, which is also very unique and important to deliver the most energy to the iris and then diffuse the energy everywhere else.
So now, when will this procedure be available to the public?
We're anticipating it'll be about 18 months. It'll be commercially available in most international territories outside the U.S. And in the U.S., we're predicting about 3 years.
Well, thank you so very much for joining us today, Dr. Homer.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
That was Dr. Greg Homer of Stroma Medical, who joined me from Orange, California. And it is unbelievable science, but I gotta say, I'm a fan of that old country song, Don't Turn My Brown Eyes Blue.
after the break, how good is bamboo as a building material if you're building something to withstand earthquakes? Way better than you think. That's coming up after the break.